Welcome to Matters of DeCorum. I'm Scott Corum. This is what matters to me. I got into a conversation with a couple of very good friends of mine fairly recently over the matter of alignment in Dungeons and Dragons. And it was late and I was tired and my brain was wearing out and I kind of ended up sounded like an ass, at least in my opinion. Candace, Robin, if you did not have that particular experience of me, thank you. You're being very gracious. But I had to think about it for a little bit. Mostly, I took a stance on that was a little bit hard line on the differences between lawful and chaotic. That being that a lawful character cannot consider strongly an unlawful response to a question, and likewise, a chaotic character cannot consider strongly a lawful solution or lawful behavior in general. Meaning that the character with a chaotic alignment sees law as anathema and will try to not follow it as much as possible. And while that is certain for a certain value of chaotic, that concept belongs at the end of a set of extremes. I thought it took me back to thinking about alignment, and I've been considering this. This isn't even my regular time for recording. This has been kind of waving up on me for the past couple of days, and I dislike it when my exhausted brain writes checks that the rest of my brain's eventually going to have to cash. So let me try and address some of this. Going back to the source. Page 122 of the Player's Handbook, section Alignment, middle of the first paragraph. Alignment is a combination of two factors. One identifies morality, good, evil, or neutral, and the other describes attitudes towards society and order, lawful, chaotic, or neutral. Thus, 9 distinct alignments define the possible combinations. There's a word I take exception to in that section, and the word is distinct. There are 9 distinct alignments. I don't think that's exactly the case. And frankly, I did make the statement in the conversation that I was having before with my friends that the alignment system is a system of limits and rails. Even if you have a chaotic character, there's a certain limitation to their behavior based on the fact that they have a designation of chaotic, that lawfulness is more or less denied to them. And if you look at the alignment structure and how it's applied, particularly in previous editions, that might actually be correct. But that jibes neither with how the information is presented in the rest of the 5th edition material and how people prefer to play. I have said it before, I will say it again, that the axes of the alignment system, the morality, good to evil, and the attitude towards society, lawful to chaotic, should not represent points on a graph, so you get that nice 9 square layout of what an alignment is and can be, or examples of those alignments, but rather that those axes describe spectrums, that there are infinite points along those lines, and where a particular character's alignment ends up, not only doesn't fall into just one of 3 categories, but somewhere in the middle of them from time to time, but is not always the same. First edition really wanted to nail the stuff down, and first and second edition D&D, the alignment was so endemic to the system that there are alignment languages and planes for the alignments, and alignments are a way of quickly shorthanding an NPC's potential behavior, and at time a PC's potential behavior. A PC who is a paladin in previous editions, lawful good. That's what you expect from a paladin. They follow the law and they do it for the benefit of everyone that they possibly can. They can. I particularly think of the good to evil axes as a measurement of selfishness to selflessness. An evil character is entirely selfish. Everything they do is for their own good. A selfless character, a good character, does everything they can for the benefit of everyone else. Obviously, somewhere in the middle is where you're probably going to find most people. There are very few people who will be entirely selfless. We do need to do a certain amount of self-maintenance. It is not considered bad in today's society to put a certain amount of effort into ourselves, self-care, maintaining ourselves, particularly given the current state of society, maintaining ourselves so that we can keep a healthy mind and body and therefore keep healthy relationships with the people around us. Nothing wrong with just that bit of selfishness, taking care of ourselves before we take care of others. But that deviates from good behavior in an alignment system. Alignment system is kind of broken. It's good shorthand if you do not follow it too rigidly. That being said, an entirely chaotic character, someone who falls the far end of the spectrum, someone who is, let's say, chaotic evil to the extreme, they may not be able to follow the law. I mean, not be able to follow the law. There might be mental blocks there. When I think of a chaotic evil character, one of the first examples that jumps to my mind, if I'm looking for that pure chaos, pure evil, would be the Joker from Batman. Culturally relevant, usually part of cultural literacy. The Joker has a goal. He wants to see to it that Batman gets the joke. It is an entirely selfish goal. He has a point of view, and he wants everyone else to have that point of view, particularly Batman, to understand the Joker's point of view. It is the most important thing in his existence. It is more important than anyone around him who might try to form a relationship with him. It is more important than his own life to some degrees. The Joker would die if he was pretty sure that'd get Batman to get the joke. In order to do this, in order to meet this goal, he can't do it legally. Can't. He's tried, and he doesn't do it well. There is a wonderful series out there called the Gotham White Knight or something like that, where the Joker is forced into sanity by being force-fed medications for mental illness, overdosed to the point where he becomes sane and is acting lawfully, and it can't last because the mental imbalance the Joker has is just too great, and the medication's not going to last. The initial overdose doesn't fix the problem, just alleviates the symptoms for a little while. But the one notable time I can think of the Joker attempting to operate legally was when he tried to copyright fish. He started this with an act of bioterrorism, poisoning all of the fish in Gotham Harbor, so that the fish ended up with his expression, his face. Pale fish with big red lips that were locked in a rictus of a smile. He tried to brand them, to copyright them. That's as close to legal operations as the Joker ever got. That's as much as his brain would, well, this will be legal, we'll do it this way. And it wasn't. You can't copyright a fish. And when he was informed that the law did not operate the way he believed it was, he responded as rationally as a Joker could by rounding up everybody responsible for the decision to not copyright his fish and killing them, or trying to, if Batman wouldn't stop him in time. So there's my example of a character who cannot operate legally. No matter what his brain comes up with in order to try and meet his selfish goal, it's not going to be legal. Can't imagine the Joker, as the Joker is commonly portrayed, operating in a fashion where he does things by the book. And as for that whole good evil thing, yeah, his goal is almost entirely selfish, but he really, really wants someone else to understand him. He's trying to benefit someone else, even if it is the worst, most terrible, most horrible way possible. He's trying to share the joke. He wants other people to get it, and he will sacrifice himself for that goal. Does that make the Joker selfless? And if that makes the Joker selfless, would we have to call him chaotic good? Batman. Look at the other side of that coin. Batman's not lawful. Batman can't do what Batman does lawfully. Oh, he'll try to make sure that all the evidence lines up. He will operate according to the legal system in as far as making sure that the convictions stick when he brings someone in. Will he bring them in legally? No. Batman operates extra legally. Batman operates by necessity extra legally. The legal system has failed. The legal system has failed so badly that I need to go out there and I need to do the job that the cops can't do. Cops have to follow the rules. I don't have any rules. I have two rules. I don't kill and I don't use guns, depending on the author of that particular series, the point in Batman's history, or any editorial mandates. For the most part, unless it's mounted to a vehicle, put on an airplane, or I'm firing it by remote control without actually seeing what's on the other side, I don't use guns. We're better than that. I'm actually getting kind of a decent Kevin Conroy here. Not sure what's up with the throat today. Batman has a personal code. Can a personal code make you lawful? I'm lawful to my personal code. Only if it actually restricts your actions. A personal code is there as rails. You cannot have a personal code that lets you do whatever you want to do without consequences. Unless your personal code has some rails on it, it has guides for you to follow that you must follow. That's not a personal code. That's an excuse to try and play a lawful character without actually obeying any laws. Batman's codes are flexible according to the story and what it requires. So for the most part, Batman cannot do what Batman does legally. Going out and beating up people until someone gives you the information you need to bring the criminal in isn't legal. That's vigilantism. Has he been deputized by Commissioner Gordon, and therefore he's legally operating under the auspices of... No, you cannot deputize a vigilante to go out and be a vigilante. You deputize a deputy to go out and be a law enforcement officer, albeit a temporary one with limited powers, but still has to follow the law. Batman is not lawful. At best, Batman is neutral because he operates next to the law. He operates with a framework of the law. Technically, because he is personally reacting to the fact that the law can't do the job he needs done, you might have to call Batman chaotic. Chaotic good, selfless pursuit of justice for the benefit of Well, okay. Let's talk about that for just a second. Uh, Batman is trying to prove a point. Batman is trying to prove a point as much as the Joker is, that he can do this without killing the Joker, that killing the Joker would be wrong, that you take the Joker back to the legal system where he's probably going to end up at Arkham, and Arkham can't hold him to save its life, literally, but that's what you do legally. That's Batman's code. You got to make sure that he sees the system works. Every single time Batman has taken the Joker back to Arkham, the Joker has escaped, killed a few dozen, a few hundred, or a few thousand people, and to get Batman's attention, and then been sent back to Arkham, lather, rinse, repeat. The world's greatest detective will probably see this pattern at some point in time. Joker's out, call Batman, because Batman's the only person that can catch the Joker, unless you follow the Injustice timeline, which makes a certain amount of sense. There have been any number of stories out there where this code gets broken and Batman offs the Joker. I've seen it happen a number of times, and side stories and alternates and what ifs and what have you. And it's if you read The Killing Joke, the end of it is left deliberately ambiguous. If you read it out of the continuity of any comics that follow it, that last page, you're not sure what happens. If you read it as part of the continuity, as it's apparently expected to be read these days, well, obviously, Batman did not kill the Joker because the Joker's back in the next, and has so much more to say to us in Mark Hamill's voice. Often love it. Batman consistently sacrifices the lives of the Joker's future victims for his own personal code, for his own statement. As much as the Joker is killing people to get Batman's attention and see to it that Batman gets his code, Batman is condemning any number of individuals to deaths at the hand of the Joker because he's not going to take the steps necessary to prevent the Joker from escaping and performing the Joker's acts to convince the Joker that Batman's code is the correct one. Technically, you could call Batman chaotic evil. Technically. I'm not saying that's a hard line of mine, but yeah, I've had a lot of arguments with Batman in the shower. That came out a lot weirder than I thought it was going to. Moving on. So alignment you can play with alignment. You can lay the cards out and have mind games about how certain characters do and don't conform to an alignment. And that's always controversial. It's always something that you've got some give and take, because alignment presents itself as 9 points of data, as 9 solid squares on a chart, and alignment's not. In practice, alignment can't be. Alignment should be nebulous. While you have those 9 suggestions in there, those 9 regions that someone may or may not fall into, crossing over between the regions from time to time, situationally even, or shifting that alignment from time to time. I woke up chaotic evil and then something happened to me, and suddenly I give a damn about someone, so now I guess I'm chaotic good at best, and eventually by the time I go to bed tomorrow, someone might consider my actions lawful good, because I realize got a high intelligence. I understand how this stuff works. I've been walking away from it because I didn't think so. But then this person made a really persuasive argument and I saw some damage done that I wish hadn't been done. I started to give a damn. And I don't think I'm going to wake up lawful good tomorrow morning. But tonight, yeah, I think I'll go with that just this once. It's odd. I can think of two systems that rely on a hard, fast alignment system. That's Dungeons and Dragons, particularly earlier editions in fifth. It's a little relaxed in fifth. The wording is still kind of strict by the squares, but the practice of it, especially in more recent releases, and as people are revisiting how these things are addressed in game, maybe a little bit less strict. The Palladium system uses a distinctly different system that is not so concerned with the lawful to chaotic aspect of things as just the selfish to selfless tend of it. That's mostly how they describe their alignments, which run from scrupulous to there's a scrupulous to diabolic. And scrupulous being you follow what's right and you sacrifice yourself for others at every opportunity, and then follow that up with a whole bunch of lawful good stereotypes, and then diabolic is you're just evil for the sake of evil. I can get behind that. Again, alignment systems, when they're used as a really fast shorthand for NPCs or monsters, what have you, for things that you want to have a fast reference for how they're going to behave in a given situation, that's a good use for alignments. I don't really think they should be applied to player characters or even important NPCs that often or with that kind of dedication, because alignment's not a human measurement. Or if I'm going to remove some of the humanocentrism from the argument, it's not a sapient quality. Behaviors and attitudes are not things that we carve in stone. We like to think we do, but situationally that changes. Do I sacrifice myself for people? Which people? People that are close to me, people that I don't know. Maybe I'm better sacrificing for people that I don't know than I do for people who are close to me. If those close to me are expected to give up a little bit more so I can help the people that don't have anyone else to help them. Won't lift a finger to help a friend move, but will drop $5 on a midnight commercial about children starving in a third world country. Yeah, I know those people. And what is that? Is that selfless? Is that selfish? Is that good? Is that evil? Is that a little bit of both? Or is that just being that person? Alignment is a slot often left blank on modern D&D character sheets. I'll let the character tell me what their alignment is one way of looking at it. You're going to play the character for a little while, see what his behavior is, and then try and pigeonhole that behavior into one of those 9 slots, which is perfectly acceptable. There's no wrong way to do this. There's no wrong attitude towards alignment. This is more my personal attitude towards alignment. I use alignment as a way to select a different basic behavior trait for a character. I don't play a lot of evil characters. I've got one evil character in play, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. He's lawful evil, and he's not going to stay that way because I'm actively looking at his situation is such that he's going to part tending towards neutral evil. Well, lawful neutral, pretty good. He's got the lawful thing down, and he enjoys doing what he does legally by the terms of the society that he's currently in. It's kind of his vengeance against his poor upbringing, and mostly selfish and mostly trying to do it entirely for his own benefit. But he's come to be fond of the people that he's spending time with, and occasionally trying to find ways that he can throw himself between them and danger. He's saying that he's doing it just to demonstrate that he's the biggest person in the room. He is not, but because he's starting to feel things. Starting with an alignment of lawful evil gave me a good starting point for that character journey. And a character journey will probably change your alignment. Maybe you start off strictly lawful and you start to realize this is a Hollywood trope. The guy who always does everything by the book realizes that sometimes you got to let loose every so often. And when you break the rules just a little bit, suddenly everything starts to work out better. Lawful to chaotic, or lawful to neutral. Auguring towards neutral is a really common form of this. The guy who can't get anything done, but he's always out there having fun. He's all wild and stuff. And hey, maybe sometimes, wait a second, I think I get those rules. Let me use them my way. And that person has gone from chaotic to neutral, and they've had a character journey. Occasionally inching into lawful a little bit every so often, but dancing back the moment that they've got to use that old craziness of theirs. So that spectrum played with all the time in literature, as well as the redemption story is all about the evil to good, good to evil, both the neutral thing. Now, the bad guy who has the turn towards the end. Well, I've done all this terrible stuff, but I can't watch you do this to those people that somehow I've developed an attachment to. So I'll stand up and take the hit. Suddenly I'll pick up the Emperor and pitch him into the reactor, because, suddenly good. Alignment in literature, alignment is fluid and liquid, and it flows with the situation, and how the characters react to their own alignment isn't so much well, this is what I am, and this is how I'm going to behave. As a character slowly coming to realize, holy crap, that's my alignment? That might not work here. How do we do something about this? A stodgy, flat alignment is something to be overcome, not something to be played with. Even the most lawful good paladin, I've never played with a paladin who didn't occasionally need to get kicked in the shins so he was distracted while everybody did what needed doing. KPS is a phrase. Kick the paladin in the shins. That's gaming parlance for, well, we've got someone with an alignment so tight in this room that we can't do the thing we think we need to do. Someone kick the paladin in the shins. APS. Now, if the paladin, as I believe is with the current edition with 5e, paladin's alignment is a little bit less restricted. They can have an alignment. Not all the gods are lawful good. You can be the paladin of a god who is not a god whose alignment is lawful good. Talk about alignments not fitting characters and gods. Any quick study of Greek mythology will drive the line, the combination of God and alignment right out of your head. But that paladin can be a little bit off. That they can either have a little neutrality to them or a little chaos. I think be the paladin of an evil god, and can operate a little bit more in line with the rest of the party, as opposed to being that staunch, upright monolith of behavior that is there and is forced to modify everyone else's behavior. Sure, that is still something that you can do as a paladin, but that becomes more a matter of personal choice than any removal of the agency by the game system. Because there's no better expression of a character's agency than their ability to manipulate their own beliefs and their own goals, and to understand that maybe how I've been looking after this isn't the right way. Is there a different way? Is my belief system getting between me and success, or the party and success? Am I willing to sacrifice the success we might have in saving this town, country, kingdom, world for the benefit of my position on a 9-square chart? It bears some thought. I like a fluid alignment system. I like it. What was it? Second edition advanced. If your alignment changed, if you did things that were outside of your alignment, you would have to undergo an alignment check, and death itself would show up, and you'd have to fight death to keep your alignment or to flow into your new alignment without any consequences, because that's how important alignment was. Gaming was weird in the 80s. And we've had a journey. We've had a journey in the art form and the literature of gaming and the stories that are told there. And maybe we're ready to do something a little bit more adaptive, something a little bit more fluid, something that lets us tell the stories that we are told. I've played a large number of different versions of the Star Wars role-playing games, starting with what I still consider to be the best of them, West End D6 system. I love that system, and it addressed the most core things in alignment as far as Star Wars goes. There's a system and literature and a universe where alignment makes a palpable difference. It's light side, it's dark side, and there is a very clear, distinct difference. And there is, if you go into the extended material, the addition of the gray Jedi, which aren't truly Jedi, but they do represent a certain amount of neutrality, which kind of rounds out the alignment system in that universe. And true, it's all in relation to an arbitrary energy force that only certain individuals can manipulate. But you can see dark side, light side. There's a very clear distinction there. And characters shift around in that one an awful lot. I've played in, original D6, the original D20 Star Wars, the Saga system, their dalliance with fourth edition D&D, and the fifth edition kind of proto variant. I haven't played the. I forget who produced one of the more recent versions. Same people who did the Warhammer role-playing game for a bit. I haven't played that one. I didn't like how it was being presented or produced. I don't like special dice. I like having the dice that I've got a bucket of here working perfectly fine. But the ones that were done by Wizards of the Coast had a very alignment-y flavor to their system, but it's still all dark side, light side. And again, I don't think it was ever addressed better than the West End Games one, where You accumulate, Jedi accumulates dark side points. You do some things that are against the Jedi code, uh, things which are against more like the original Jedi code, not the High Council rulings of the prequel series. But are you directly injuring people with the Force, or using the Force for defense and learning and meditation? Is it a Force that you're doing damage with, or is it a Force that you're flowing with and using to guide your emotions towards a peaceful resolution? All of which involves cutting people's limbs off with lightsabers, but there's an attitude behind it. And that in-universe explanation of an alignment system, okay, that works. I can tell stories from Star Wars with an alignment system. Can I tell Lord of the Rings with an alignment system? Kind of. There's a consistency to some of the evil. There's a consistency, kind of, to some of the good. Where do you put Boromir in the alignment system? Who ultimately was good, but performed some arguably evil acts, whose attitudes may have been entirely selfish, but from another point of view might have been entirely selfless. It's an interesting observation, but in Lord of the Rings, in the Tolkien universe, that's still kind of fluid. Marvel Cinematic Universe, or comic books in general, alignment is so fluid that it almost needn't exist. How do you explain Civil War? Is there palpable actual evil? Thanos thought he was sacrificing his existence to benefit the universe. Good or evil? I guess in short, I may have couched my terms in that conversation that started this in far too absolute a means. While there are chaotic characters who cannot operate with a concept towards legality, obviously, that's not every chaotic character. Putting the chaotic descriptor in the character's alignment slot does not automatically mean that that is how the character views operating lawfully. It might be a tendency towards that, or it might be a more fluid ability to work around the laws or appear to act lawfully, who can conceptually deal with the law, just not necessarily for themselves, or who can appear to act lawful, but looking for their opportunity to be chaotic about it. And at what point in time does that become neutral? Who cares? How do you think of the character? And that's really what really matters. The alignment system is there to describe how you consider the character. And if you got to scratch some of that out and change it every so often, that's life. That's how people operate in the real world, in literature, in movies and fiction. That's people's alignment changes all the time. And where they rest on that spectrum isn't a point in time. You can't put a pin in it and say, this is that person. Alignment's an attempt to measure something, to measure morality and attitude towards the law. And when you really sit back and think about it, that's not something that is a solid point of data. Never has been. And moving outside of that zone that you have assigned to that character, that's storytelling. And since we're all there to tell stories, not only should that not be penalized, in my personal opinion, this is all me playing D&D, not only should that not be penalized, but sometimes that's a few extra experience points, or maybe approaching a benchmark. Maybe that's where your next level is, when you realize I was actually chaotic good the entire time and just never realized it. Or maybe I've had to become chaotic good because what I was doing before just wasn't working. I tend towards chaotic good personally. You might be able to tell. Well, this was a ramble. I hope I've settled some things. At least I think I've settled some things in my head. Often when I'm doing these rambles and trying to find a position rather than coming at you with one that I've already got solidified, I'm pretty sure about this one. I'm very happy viewing alignment as not as a statistic, but more as a battlefield for the character and their psyche. Well, thank you for following me along in this particular ramble. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy the video, give me a thumbs down. Feedback is feedback. If you enjoyed this video, if there's something you'd like to address with your personal experiences with alignment, if there's anything else you'd like to hear me talk about, subjects you'd like to hear me cover, leave me a comment down below. I will love getting your comment. You'll love leaving me a comment. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, why not? My channel is awesome. Hit the subscribe button. If you do hit the subscribe button, you might want to hit the notification bell as well, so you're alerted when my videos become available. If you would like to contribute to the channel in a more substantial manner, I invite you to hit me up my Patreon page, www.patreon.com/ScottCorum, and consider donating. Absolutely anything helps and allows me to make better videos more often. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. I'm Scott Corum. This is what has mattered to me, and I will see you next time on the next Matters of DeCorum.